Basically, if you guys are new to Real Estate Insider, my name is Angelo Christian, and I run a national commercial residential private equity fund here in Houston, Texas. I've been doing this since 2005. We've done over $2 billion in lending from commercial, private money, hard money, government-backed loans, anything from a first-time buyer to a multi-billion-dollar deal on a master plan development, and we securitize the debt and the equity. And joining me today, I have Mr. Luke Menkes, who's a synonymous real estate brokerage firm in Canada, and is a friend of mine. We've been corresponding for the last couple of years. He featured me on his podcast in 2018, and I wanted to invite him back to the show because I love his perspective, and I've been following him for the last couple of years. And I think it's a great time to try to talk about what's going on in Luke's world and some of the things that he's mentioned in Canada and the business. And I'm sure you're involved in, you're also an entrepreneur. I think you have some published literature and things like that. So we'd love to hear your thinking about what's, what the future looks like. Because I'm seeing a lot of gloom and doom, and there's a lot of fear in the marketplace. And
glad to be here. So I think what you're doing with your treadmill is pretty excellent. I think the biggest challenge I'm facing, and most of the people I talk to are facing, is not getting mentally depressed.
Yeah.
Staying upbeat, staying in good physical shape. I mean, there's a lot of cake, a lot of booze laying around. And
yeah, that's right.
A friend of mine, she loves to bake, but she said, I'm stuck at home. Usually she's at work, so she eats, a little piece of dessert, but now it's like just sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's a problem. So I've been trying to walk in my neighborhood. You can say hi to neighbors and stuff and just stay mentally positive.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good time to try to maintain and build relationships with people.
Right.
And when things do open up again, and I think they will, people are going to call on us that if we took a minute to give them a call and say, how's everything going? It's not easy to do when we're feeling down, but I think it's really important.
Right.
I make phone calls. I feel better. And I think it helps those people feel a little bit better. And I think those are going to be good relationships when things open up.
Right. So, and I agree with you completely. I try to, my story. I grew up, on the streets, homeless, and I always try to be solution oriented. And, and I don't know about you, but for me, this has really taken me by surprise. Literally the U.S., the financial markets are like literally frozen right now. And we've lost millions of dollars in business, just in the last 3 weeks. And so, and it's sad because it's not just wealthy investors. It's, a first-time buyer or a veteran trying to buy their home and saying, oh, I'm sorry, you can no longer get funding because of COVID-19. The banks don't want your loan anymore,
Wow.
And I had to tell a veteran that yesterday and make a personal phone call to him and tell him, look, I'm sorry, you no longer qualify because there's no liquidity in the market to fund your loan. And so the government has allowed people to get out of their contracts that they've entered into for real estate transactions in the U.S. without and getting their earnest money refunded back to them. So, it's just, I talked to a lot of people in the very high up in the capital markets, and they're like, when we made our business model of all the random possible situations that could shut down a company, we never factored in a virus that stemmed from people eating bats, and we thought about everything else, the 1,000 simulations of what could, bankrupt a company, and it wasn't something like this. And so it's
crazy.
You'd never imagine, me personally, that we'd ever be living in this type of situation, talking about this type of event.
It's totally crazy. So is it? Are there people coming to you for loans
Oh, absolutely.
and getting turned down? So people still want to buy it.
Oh, they some people do. Some people are very scared.
Right.
I would say 50% of the people have put it on hold. They want to, they lost like in Texas, and then this is a number I got yesterday. Over 3.5 million people have filed for unemployment just in Texas in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
So 3.5 million people just in Texas in 3 weeks have filed for unemployment. And so if you think about that, so a lot of people are like, well, I can't buy a house right now because I don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. My employer laid me off. I don't have any income. My kids are out of school. I don't have a job anymore, and I don't have any money. So, I mean, how is it in Canada right now with that?
It's the same. It's exactly the same. So, we do have some government programs starting to roll out, and I think you do too, covering employment insurance, extra, just bonus money for people and so forth. Hard to say if it's going to be enough. I think most people will be reasonably okay.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit scary. I mean, if they can get checks in the hands of people quickly, probably be okay.
Yeah.
But I think the uncertainty that's really weighing on people's minds,
Right. And then as far as on the creditor or debt side, like have they given any relief to the Canadians as far as mortgages and car payments and credit cards?
Yeah, they have. So all the major banks said they will give you up to 3 months interest-free deferment on your mortgage without penalty. It's one of those things, though, like if they refuse, this is way worse than 2008. Like, there'd be no point in a bank initiating a collection action against
Absolutely
the entire nation.
Right.
It just wouldn't be sensible because they can't sell those properties.
Right.
You can't get blood out the stone, so people don't have any income. I mean, they're going to foreclose on tens of millions of people that just
absolutely
can't.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a silver lining. I think everybody's kind of coming together. Banks and creditors are saying, okay, they're a lot less hostile to people, is what I'm being told.
Right.
Because that's just pointless, right?
Oh no, for sure. And then as far as the real estate business, is there any market right now, or what's the?
So deals have still been closing. Our local notaries and lawyers still willing to meet with people to sign closing documents. But deals that were conditional have been canceled, like many deals.
Yeah.
People have got extensions. So I just got a 30-day extension on a purchase.
Yeah.
But we didn't remove conditions yet, so we're just extending for 30 days. So it's, who knows if it'll actually happen.
Right.
But people still want to buy property, but most of the people I've spoken to are, let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
So it's kind of frozen. It feels very different than the 2008 crash, which was a crash. This is more like, let's wait, let's just freeze.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, here, I agree with you that, there isn't a fundamental problem in the financial markets like there was in 2008, so, I mean, and then are banks still wanting to lend over there, or what?
So I don't know. That's a good question. So I was going to ask you the same question. If someone still has their job, and let's say they're in an essential industry like medical, and so they've got lots of hours, they still have their job, can they get a mortgage loan today.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So right now, as of me and you talking today, it's April 1st, 2020.
Yeah.
Because in the last 3 weeks, the laws and the guidelines have changed almost daily,
right,
by the hour. So as of today, right now, if you have excellent credit and only excellent credit, can you get a loan? Right. So anyone that has subpar credit, below a 680 credit score, is pretty much SOL.
Right.
And just up to 3 weeks ago, you could get any type of funding that was available. Now that's on the banking side of the industry. On the private side, because we operate in two different markets: the private hard money section, and then the banking side. On the hard money, they're still making loans to people, but like at 50 to 60% loan to value.
Wow.
With 10 to 12% interest rates.
Wow.
So, and some people have no choice to take that if they're in a situation that warrants that. So, right. There's individual funds and hedge funds that are still making those loans on their balance sheet. But like all the government products like FHA, VA, USDA has for right now, and it could change tomorrow, Luke. But right now, you have to have excellent credit to be considered for a loan. Like I said, in the last 24 hours, that's changed. 2 days ago, it was a 640 credit. Now it's a 680 credit score. So, it just seems like it's getting worse. And our numbers are still, obviously, and we know that for the next 2 weeks, according to the CDC, that our numbers are going to get worse before they get better. And it's projected that nearly 200,000 Americans could die from, the virus.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's similar in our country. We're about 1/10 the size, but that's a lot of people. I mean, it's going to be devastating.
It is. It's very scary.
I'm curious, Angelo, what about on the appraisal side? So, when someone goes to buy a house and they get conditional approval for a mortgage loan, and then an appraiser goes out and looks at that property. What do you know what's happening with appraisals as far as values? Right.
You mean as far as the turnaround time or them being able to enter into the property, or?
No, I mean like the value. Like, so let's say someone buys a $300,000 home, 70% loan to value. So they're trying to get a loan for $210,000. And an appraiser goes out and says, yeah, this home is worth $300,000. Like, they do an appraisal report. That's the way we do it here.
Right.
Are those numbers coming back any different? Like, it's coming back and saying, you should not be paying $300,000 for this.
Oh, right. So no, we haven't. I mean, that hasn't happened yet. What we've had more so of an issue with is getting appraisers to go out there to go look at the home.
Oh, wow.
The seller is letting the people into the home. So I don't know, in Canada, has it gone to virtual showings yet?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of that. And some sellers we don't want anybody in the house. Others are just don't touch anything. Use some hand sanitizer when you come in.
Yeah.
Please don't touch anything.
Yeah, if you can find hand sanitizer.
Right. So, but I mean, like, in 2008, a lot of valuations were coming back and saying, these values are way overinflated. We can't close this deal. That property is not worth anything close to.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's happening yet.
Not yet. I mean, that probably could happen. I mean, we're still in the very preemptive stages of this. I mean, obviously, that's the next thing, right? I mean, that's probably going to happen if this thing goes into, I mean, they're talking about like around June-ish time frame. But if this thing goes into the fall or the spring of next year, we're probably going to see massive decreases in real estate values. And that's kind of what I wanted to kind of pick your brain about is, what does our world look like? Because what I'm seeing, a lot of things. I don't think we can, and I don't know. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people in different sectors, analysts, reporters, hedge fund managers, and a lot of them think that we don't go back to the world that we just came from, just a few weeks ago, and that probably until a vaccine comes out, that our social gathering is going to be the norm. The bars, the restaurants. Are we going to be doing meetups and network events, and knowing that because if you look at in Wuhan now, I mean they've obviously been able to control their numbers a lot more, but everything is with strict checks and balances, right? I mean, you walk into a Starbucks and you got to get your temperature scanned on your forehead before you can go in.
Yeah.
And is that what's going to happen here?
Yeah. Well, it's really hard to say at this point. I've heard of some promising treatments. Some experts feel that the estimates are still overblown, like it's not going to be as bad as the 200,000 deaths. And I hope they're right, but we don't know. So if in a best case scenario, if we pass that curve that they're talking about in a few weeks, and they've got some effective treatments within a few weeks or a few months, then we could see a very strong recovery. But if this is something that's going to go months and years, there's big problems ahead. So I think it's too early to tell. I think we'll have a better picture in about 2 weeks, really. We'll see if we've passed that curve like they're predicting.
Right.
But
do you think that, let's say, you're right. I mean, obviously, I agree with you. Nobody knows for sure, where we're at or what's going to happen. But I mean, do you see that maybe for the near term that things are going to be moving more to like Zoom meetings and online and less, social interaction?
Yeah, I think it could really affect restaurants, sports, that sort of entertainment. That, if it's as contagious as they say, and if they don't find a cure or a very solid treatment quickly, then I think this is going to have really long-term impacts. I think people are getting used to the Zoom calls, so I think that's probably a good thing in many cases anyways, but I think we're talking about two different things, right? So do we go back to a normal life where we can go to a hockey game, go to a baseball game, and fill a stadium because people are comfortable with that? Versus are more people going to telecommute and do Zoom calls? I think the second question, definitely yes. But I hope that it's not to the extreme where this is the only way we can meet. That would, I can't even fathom a world like that.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's what a lot of the, I'll give an example. Like my family, we always love to do cruises. So we're a big cruiser. I don't know if you guys, is there the cruise lines up there in Canada?
Yeah, so we have some, but people will fly from here to Los Angeles or Houston or Miami.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of quite popular, but we're inland. I'm in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah. So that's the thing that, moving forward, if that's still going to be something that's even going to be in consideration, right? So, there's a lot of things, and then there's a lot of concerns that that, and then also if the markets, the financial markets, the liquidity stays dry, you're right. If you don't have funding for your real estate, especially commercial real estate. A lot of the banks, I would say 80% of the banks right now have said, look, we're just going to stop lending.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on. We can't evaluate a customer's income right now. We can't evaluate the ability to repay or property value. Come back to us, in the middle or end of April, Angelo. And so, I just, I think that, I don't know how it is in your grocery stores, if you're going to a grocery store right now, but they've clearly marked off and segregated off distancing, and they're enforcing that. There's curfews, state of Texas is pretty much on a lockdown, except for essential. So,
yeah. So it's the same. I went to Costco yesterday, and there was a lot of empty parking spots. So what happened here was people started to panic, and there was lineups and people taking all the toilet paper, which is crazy because it's not an intestinal virus at all. But people were hoarding toilet paper, and I said to my wife, once people have enough toilet paper and supply lines are still moving, eventually there's going to be too much toilet paper.
Yeah.
We store so much. So I went to Costco yesterday. They made us wait 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So it took a little longer, but when I got inside, it was like really easy to move around, and there were lots of everything. So I stocked up, did double what I normally do because I don't want to keep doing that. I don't want to do it as often because it's pain and it takes a long time. But there was plenty of everything, toilet paper, everything. Okay. So the supply chains are still moving.
Yeah.
And you can stock your home up to the rafters with canned goods and toilet paper. Once you've done that, you go back to Costco in 2 weeks, you're not going to do that again because you've got enough for a year. So that, to me, that seems to be easing up a bit, at least where I live. But everything's shut down. There's no restaurants. There's takeout, which to me, it's a little bit strange. So everybody is going to the gas station, to the grocery store, and to the liquor store, still open. But we're not seeing a big pileup of bodies like people have been predicting.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to those 3 locations.
Yeah.
Which to me seems almost worse than having people spread out over all these restaurants. So I don't quite get it. Like there's a few things that don't really make sense with this whole,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I have a friend of mine that was my treadmill stopped. I have a friend of mine that was traveling from New York, and he was going to go see his family down in Kentucky, and he got stopped at the border when he was trying to leave New York. They sent him back. So they won't even, now you're seeing. And because you've seen the cluster in New York, it's crazy right now. And so I guess there's very tight border controls right now in the United States, and so they're trying to contain it. And I guess one of my business partners had to fly to Shanghai, and they quarantined him for 2 weeks before they let him in. And so. Just wondering, like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty, and I guess, do you have any? What's your? As far as your playbook, for the next. Are you just taking it day by day? Is that really the plan, or what do you tell people that are trying to, for the foreseeable future?
I tell what I've been telling people is to take it day by day. And I just tried to make personal, encouraging phone calls. If someone asks me a question about real estate, I'll answer it. But I'm not calling to try to sell my house right now.
Yeah.
Just trying to maintain that relationship, let people know I'm thinking about you and so forth.
Right.
Because if everything collapses, I mean, it doesn't matter anyways. But if the market revives, I think people will really appreciate that you stayed in touch with them.
Right. Absolutely.
I think for me, the bottom line is, and it changes day to day, but if this ends quickly, like the lockdowns and everything, I think things could get back to normal pretty quickly. If it goes on too much longer, like too many months, I think people are going to be so shell shocked. They'll be nervous probably for years to go to a baseball stadium,
right,
or a restaurant,
right,
because the mental effect this is having.
Psychological, yeah.
Yeah, if it's a few weeks and done, I think we can get past it. But if it just drags on months and months, I think it's going to be really bad. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's what what I was saying, like going back to what they've done in China. I mean, I don't know, you've seen,
yeah,
they've kind of gone back to work and everything, and they have very tight controls now on, hey, well, before you go into that baseball game, let me check your temperature and that type of thing, or before you go to the store, let me,
And I think that, if you could instantly take someone's temperature, Taiwan is interesting. So I'm looking at all the countries you can see on a graph. And what you want to see is the number of new cases, daily new cases start to decline.
Right.
And Taiwan has had almost no outbreak at all. I think 5 people have died. It's a country the size of Canada, but in a much smaller space, 35 million people. And there's almost no outbreak, but they have a tradition. Everybody wears a mask, even school kids. They wear a mask. And the only time the kids are allowed to take their mask off is when they're eating lunch, and then they're in a plexiglass kind of bubble. But they've done that for decades like that. And some people are saying, maybe it'd be really weird for people in North America to do that. But maybe that's a solution, like a permanent solution to the flu and everything.
Until we have a vaccine or something, yeah.
Yeah. Because, if that's how it gets spread, it makes sense. And they've kind of been downplaying that because they don't want to create a panic and a run on masks like happened with toilet paper, because the hospital staff need those, right? The frontline workers need those. But maybe, that will be something that rolls out in a few weeks and they say, hey, go out in public, but we're going to check your temperature and wear a mask and you're totally safe.
Yeah.
That might be a solution.
Right. Well, because we have to get back,
we have to,
business and civilization. I'm just thinking, what does that look like? What do we have to do? So, but no, I just, I'm glad that, I wanted to, pick your brain, kind of see what you're thinking about, and obviously make sure that you and your family are doing well and healthy and all of that. And hopefully we can, all get back to some level of sanity here, sooner than later. So, but what, anything else that you want to tell the viewers, or anything that's on your mind or that you're thinking about to get through this?
So what I've been telling people, close friends and family, is it's a great time to take an online course in something.
There you go.
And also have longer, less rushed conversations with your friends and family on the telephone. Like we're so used to just texting, like gotta go.
Yeah.
And just work a little bit on the important relationships, and that's a good thing. Getting more physical exercise. I'm going to get set up like you are, but I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm
good.
Doing a book of the week club, so I'm going through one audiobook a week.
Oh, great! That's great.
Done 8 weeks straight now, so it's hard to do when you're working 60 hours a week for sure. But I can do it now. So just try to find the silver lining.
Right. That's really, really cool, man. Yeah. So you mentioned this is a great time to learn. And that's what I've been telling people too. Like right now, if you've been laid off, it might be a good time to, learn a different career or learn something else. I built, I don't know if you recall, but I built Real Estate University, which is an online platform to become a realtor or a lender to learn the business. So, and I said, look, go take the course. I mean, you can go sign in and you can get your license right there to become a lender or a realtor. And so, because when this thing bounces back, I mean, real estate is the highest asset class in the world. People are going to want to buy and sell property. So, no, I'm glad. I'm so glad that you visited with me today, and I wish you and your family very well. And we, obviously, the Canadians a very fast recovery, and hopefully we can get back to business sooner than later. And I really appreciate it. We'll have all your information on the channel, and so make sure people can reach out to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Look good. Very good to see you. Take care. Be safe. And thank you so much, guys. That's Luke Menkes, a real estate broker in Canada. You guys, thank you so much for watching Angelo Christian Real Estate Insider. You all have a great day. Take care. Be safe out there, everyone. We'll get through this soon. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.